Hi, this is Gail, and in this lecture I'm going to go over how to focus and develop your ideas before you do the brainstorm. So two things should happen before you begin brainstorming. First one is for you to create a unique perspective or point of view. And then the second is to generate how might we question prompts to help with brainstorming. A unique perspective is the most important part of brainstorming, and they talk about that quite a bit in the liner notes of your reading. The unique perspective should answer the question, how do you want to change the experience for your user? You can think of it this way. If you think back to your gift experience project, you can think of it as person needs to blank because blank. One method of how to come up with a unique perspective is to think about disrupting assumptions. And you can do that by listing all the assumptions that you have about an experience and then thinking of all the ways you can change things if you didn't have to have those assumptions. And I'll give you some examples. For instance, I have decided that my user is Myrtle, and you saw her on the empathy map, and I want to change her dining experience at a restaurant like Luby's. And if you know, have you ever been to a Luby's, you'll know that it's a typical cafeteria experience. When you walk in, you grab a tray, you get in line, you pick your food, and then the cashier checks you out and you walk yourself to your table with your food. So those assumptions are nobody greets you until you're in line. You walk into the door and you have no interaction until you get in line. There is a line. That's a huge assumption, and that's true. You can't easily go back for seconds. You have to get back into line and go all the way through if you want more food. You move, but the food is always stationary, and you need a tray in order to get food. So at this point, I can ask myself, what if I break these assumptions? What if there's no line from Myrtle, but she can have the same food selection as if there were a line? How would I solve that? One thing I could think about is setting up food station as groups. So instead of a line, there are groups all around. So instead of one main line, there is a dessert station or maybe a bread station or salad station. And because it's spread out, people don't have to stand behind each other in a sequence. They can choose where they want to go. Or what if servers came by with carts of food, like a dim sum experience? They'll roll in a cart filled with desserts that you can order from and just pick and get. Or they'll roll in a cart with entrees that you can pick immediately from that cart to get your food. Or what if Myrtle moved from section to section in the restaurant? So there was one room with dessert, there was one room with salad, there was one room with main courses, and there was no line as well. And then as I was thinking about all these options, I began to think about some considerations. What if Myrtle has limited mobility? What if she can't walk very well because she's older, or she has lost some sense of balance, or she can't carry food and walk at the same time because she has an injury? But what if Myrtle still wants to socialize with people? What if she still wants to interact and choose her food? What would that be like? So my unique perspective or point of view that I want to solve for Myrtle is Myrtle needs to be able to have a good choice experience at Luby's, but she has limited mobility. How could I fix that experience for that user? In other words, how can I fix the dining experience for a female senior citizen who has limited mobility? So now that I have my unique perspective figured out, in order to create some prompts to get me going with overall brainstorming, I want to create how might we questions. And that has been covered in track 3. So you're going to want to reference that after I'm through with this talk. So in track 3, they actually give you prompts to work from. One of them is amp up the good. So in other words, it's good that there are food choices. How else might I give Myrtle more food choices than she already has from what she can see? Another prompt is, how can we remove the bad from the experience? How can we have it so there are no barriers in the way of mobility? Maybe there are no stations, maybe there's nothing physical. What are some ways that we can think about that? How might we explore the opposite? Instead of making the line boring and crowded and stressful, how can we make the line experience very entertaining and not rushed? And as you can see here, as I was even just telling you about these 3 things, I was thinking of things like, how can I remove the bad? Well, what if we created stations and everything was on wheels? There would be no barriers in the way of mobility because everything can be rolled to everybody else. See, and then that would give me some ideas and some post-it notes to write on, and I could just start writing down everything I can think of to cover this prompt. Alright, so your assignment is, first you want to create your unique point of view for your redesign challenge. Then you want to create 5 to 10 how might we questions for prompts for you to consider so you can start the brainstorming process with prompts ready to go. Then you want to create a section in your Neurally board that has all these ideas in it, and then you want to post your information. So when you've done this, you will develop prompts and a perspective so I or another classmate can go in and contribute to your brainstorm. All right, that's all I have for today. As always, have fun exploring and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.